Well, we expected an Indian left arm spinner to have a big say in the final session of the fifth day of this test match. We also expected the New Zealanders to dig their heels in and really fight till the end. And we also expected late drama in this test match. We got all three. And at the end of it, New Zealand have walked away with a very, very honorable draw, nail biting draw in the end. 165 for 9 is what they finished at, surviving 98 overs, 94 of them on day 5. Joining me are former New Zealand captain Daniel Vettori and former India opening batter Wasim Jaffer. First, coming to you, Dan, just to explain this entire situation in which the match finished for many of our fans who may not be aware of the rule changes which have taken place in cricket about the light and how it is decided by the umpires now.
Well, first of all, it's about consistency, and they obviously set the standard on day one. They knew that this would be a factor in the Test match, and on day one they set a reading, and from there they have to stick to it. And you could see the two umpires at the end possibly not wanting to stick to it because there was such an enthralling Test match, and they obviously wanted to continue on. But the number is what the number is, and once it hits that number, they don't offer the batsman light. They just walk off. So this is what happened today, and whilst it's pretty much a non-event for the first 4 days, on the fifth day it becomes enthralling, and part of the intrigue was the two umpires coming together at the end of every over and wondering if they'd reached the number at this stage, and they finally got to it.
Well, we did speak at tea, didn't we? Wasim, we spoke about the fact that the Indians did a lot out of the spinners. That's exactly what Ajinkya Rahane did. We'll talk in detail about some of the tactics, perhaps, but were you a little surprised that he didn't take the new ball straight away, taking it on 85 overs?
I think so. I think a hard ball on those kind of pitches, do a lot more than the really 80, 85, overs old ball. So I was really surprised because it does zip through new ball, and I was surprised that it wasn't taken straight away.
Well, a tale of two Ravindras. Let's speak about the Ravindra from New Zealand first with Dan. 18 from 91 balls, outstanding, not just because of the innings that he played, but the composure that he showed under pressure. Because when he came in, there had been a flurry of wickets. Kane Williamson had also fallen. Couldn't have been easy for him, especially in these conditions.
Yeah, he's obviously on debut, but he has made his name as a batsman back in New Zealand. He's scored a lot of runs, and he's seen primarily as a batter, and his left arm spin is complementary. It's probably what got him into the team because of the need for that extra spinner. But he is a batsman, and I think we saw that through the technique and the composure today. So to come in on debut and to put himself through that situation and to help New Zealand fight towards a draw is pretty satisfying for him, and he'll take a lot of confidence into that next Test match because of this performance.
And Wasim, we were expecting Akshar Patel to have a big say, but in the end, Ravindra Jadeja with a massive spell in that last session. And if you look through his wickets today, all of them leg before and all of them big wickets. Ross Taylor, Kane Williamson, Kyle Jamieson, three among them, and Tim Southee as well, who could have been very useful in these conditions. What is it about Jadeja which seems to make him much more dangerous in a sense than even Ashwin on day 5 pitches in India?
I think it's just that he keeps attacking the stumps. That's his forte, and the pace that he bowls with. And if the wicket offers a little bit of spin, he's very, very dangerous. And then on the day 5 pitches, when the left-handers are batting, that there's a rough that he uses so well, and the kind of pace that he bowls to. If the batter misses a little bit, then the leg before is in the play, then the bowled is in the play, and those are the kind of wickets that he's got. You attack the stumps, and if the wicket offers a little bit of spin, then he's very, very dangerous.
Dan, we'll do an overview of this entire test match. Let's begin perhaps with one factor which has been discussed on a few occasions about Kane Williamson's captaincy. Let's not call it defensiveness, let's call it pragmatism perhaps, but has that, on hindsight, of course, it's easier to say, but has that perhaps come back a little bit to hurt New Zealand a little? They've gotten away with a draw here, but do you think those couple of crucial occasions in this match, maybe with the bat in the first innings, maybe when they had India at 51 for 5 on the 4th day, it could have pressed on a little harder?
I don't believe so. I think Kane has kept him this way for a long time, and I think pragmatism is the right description. And you think when he got the team 51 for 5, he did it through a certain methodology, and why not continue with that to expose what was an Indian towel. When captaincy things don't work, sometimes you have to just give credit to the other side. And I thought the partnership between Saha, Ashwin allowed to put the emphasis back onto New Zealand, and Ashwin in particular. I thought his aggressiveness just changed the momentum a little bit. So look, I think a lot of these things are easy to look at in hindsight, but New Zealand's been a successful team for a long time, and Kane continues to captain well. And I think what he does well is he captains the situation. He's not an attacking captain. He's not a defensive captain. He is just what the situation requires, and more often than not, he gets it right.
Yeah, just picking up on that point, Wasim, we'll talk about India in detail as well. But this has to really count as a huge success for New Zealand, this result in itself, because they've come into this match without any proper preparation for the 5-day game. And they've pulled out a really good performance, staying on in the match, even fancying their chances of a victory at some stages.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Kane would rue that he didn't play Neil Wagner. I think if Neil Wagner would have played any team with 51 for 5, a couple of wickets there, and then you might have looked at a New Zealand victory. So that is probably the one decision that he will obviously would be disappointed with, that he didn't go all out attack with the bowling attack that he played with. Definitely, to get Indian team on Indian condition that suits them, to get them into the 5th day is itself a very big achievement. So I think New Zealand played like a world number one team and competed right through. I mean, most teams do compete, till 2nd day or 3rd day, but then they perish on the 4th and 5th day when the test matches, when the wicket starts to play a little bit of trick. But I think all credit to New Zealand the way they fought in this test match.
Yeah, let's look at the takeaways from this test match, Dan. From a New Zealand perspective, of course, we spoke about Rachin Ravindra briefly, but Kyle Jamieson as well, for him, a huge tick mark this match, his first game in Asia, and he proves that he's not just a bowler in home conditions or in English favourable conditions.
Yeah, I think that's what people were waiting to see. I think they're excited about his start to his Test career and how well he performed. But I think in the back of everyone's mind is can he perform like this in a Test match in the subcontinent against an exceptionally good Indian team on a very flat wicket? And his combination with Southee was the reason that New Zealand stayed in the Test match. It's very rarely that you see two seamers come together and perform so well in the subcontinent. So that is really satisfying. But I think Wasim's right that if you've been able to partner up those two with Neil Wagner, then New Zealand would have been able to be aggressive in attacking the whole way through. But Jamieson was wonderful in this Test match, and I think he'll be excited about going to Wankhede, because if he can bowl this well in Kanpur, then Wankhede will be a lot more fun.
Yeah, and just staying with you, Dan, for a review on the batting as well. They'll be quite pleased to have saved this Test match, if you think about it, without a substantial contribution in either innings from Williamson or Taylor. So much of their batting has revolved around these two gentlemen, but to have done that without them, and to have Latham in particular play that leadership role in both innings, was quite magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, Latham and Young and Somerville were the batsmen of the Test match for New Zealand. So look, Kane and Ross are exceptional players with exceptional records for a long period of time. So you're allowed a Test match off. Things don't always work out, and they'll enjoy also the conditions in the next Test match. So I think New Zealand will have a lot of positives come out of the Test match, and I think it's fascinating because New Zealand is the number one Test team in the world, and they've been playing so well. We sometimes forget to acknowledge that because they come to India, and India are always the favourites over here, and we look for positives. Whereas when the number one Test team in the world is playing, we should be talking about why they didn't win the Test match. But that's the nature of playing in India, and that's what it means. Hard it is to come over here and play. But I think New Zealand should be happy with the draw to give themselves a chance of winning the series.
And Wasim, from an Indian perspective, the result may not have worked out quite for Ajinkya Rahane's men, but in itself, a good performance this, considering that so many first-team regulars were missing, especially in batting. So to do it without them, that will be a huge positive and a good start for Rahul Dravid as head coach.
Oh yes, I think India obviously has a lot of bench strength. Our India A side has gone to South Africa. A lot of senior players are resting, and even after that, we are able to put a really strong test team. So that itself says a lot about the bench strength that we have. And obviously, India goes in favorites in this series, even after missing those players. So I think it gives them a lot of credit for the way they fought. And I said that before also, that the first time the top six will be under pressure for different reasons. The openers haven't played. Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane haven't got many runs. Shreyas Iyer was making his debut. Saha didn't play for a long time. And all of those things considered, I think India played really, really well. Even though they would have liked the top order to score a lot more runs, uh, the rear guard action was done by the 6, 7, 8. But I think they'll be happy with the result, and they'll go a much more confident side into the Wankhede with Virat Kohli coming back. That gives them a little bit of depth in the batting also.
Yeah, I'll ask you a much more pointed question later on, but for the moment, just asking you the same question that I asked Dan about the captaincy. Were you satisfied with everything that Ajinkya Rahane did? Were a couple of steps perhaps out of sync, do you think? I mean, is it a reflection perhaps of the confidence that he's experiencing as a batter right now?
No, I think he captained really well. Apart from that, in the second inning, I think he bowled Akshar Patel really late. He brought him really late into the attack. The 50 overs had gone by, and he's only bowled 5 or 6 overs in that second innings. I think somebody who's been a recurrent chief in the first inning should have bowled a lot more overs and should have been given more time to pick up wickets also. So I think that was the only blemish, if at all I can say anything. Otherwise, it was spot on in most things.
And Dan, looking ahead to Wankhede, you spoke about the fact that the seamers should enjoy these conditions more. So, what are the likely changes that you can think of? I suppose Wagner should be a serious consideration, especially on that pitch. And if he comes in, then who does he? Who makes way for him?
Well, I think it will be a change for Somerville. I think they'll still back Ajaz Patel as the premier spinner within the team, and he probably didn't have his best Test match, but he's a quality bowler with a proven track record, albeit a short one. I think the question they may ask is around the all-rounder position and whether someone like Daryl Mitchell, with his medium pace bowling, may be someone that they could look in for Ravindra, albeit that he did have a good Test match. It'll just be conditions dependent. So I think those are the only two changes they'll look at, and they'll definitely bring in Wagner and then may consider the all-rounder role.
Now, the same question to you, Wasim. I know you've talked in the past about possibly Rahane or Mayank Agarwal going out to accommodate Kohli, but this is a very pointed question to you. Do you drop Rahane or do you not?
No, I don't think I won't drop Rahane now because such a big series coming up in South Africa. I think regarding Rahane or even Pujara, those discussions can wait after till the South African series. Once that series happens, then you can take a call where both of these guys stand. But definitely going into South Africa, you would want Rahane and Pujara to be playing in such an important series. So I would think about giving Mayank a break and then getting Saha to open, and everyone remains the same. It all depends on what kind of pitch India gets. If it's got a little bit of help, then you might see three seamers playing 3 and 2. Those could be the combination. If it looks dry and if it looks like spinning, then I think uh, probably I would say that Siraj might come in for Ishant. I don't know. And Umesh and Siraj and those three spinners. That could be the combination they could go with.
So that's an interesting one. If you think that it might support a little bit of seam, and there are three seamers, I'm assuming you're adding Siraj to this mix. So which spinner misses out then?
That is again a very tricky one because Jadeja gives you so much with the bat. Patel would have to make way, but I think in all likelihood I would consider that they'll play two seamers and three spinners again. No matter, I don't think it's going to be a really pacey wicket anyway. So the best option would be to go with two seamers and three spinners.
And Dan, two new Indian players in this match. How impressed were you with Shreyas Iyer? I'll ask Wasim about KS Bharat in a little while, but Shreyas Iyer really looked the goods in Test cricket, didn't he, in both his innings?
Yeah, and mainly because he came in difficult situations. I think sometimes you can have a debut which is slightly easier than others, but I think the nature of the way into Test cricket made it even more special, and to get through some tough stages, and then to be able to go through the gears and understand when the right time to attack was, the right time to defend. He played Southey and Jamieson well, and that was the key. And then he took advantage of the spin bowlers by putting pressure on them by using his feet, and then taking them on when they were able to, when they did drop short. So if you put those two innings together on a debut, you've got a very mature player who knows his game. And I think that's the byproduct of him playing international cricket for India and obviously IPL, and he's dealt with pressure a lot before. So coming into this Test match probably was relatively comfortable for him, and it showed in his performance.
And Wasim, I suppose you did mention about the bench strength that Indian cricket has. That was exhibited in this match with Bharat coming in virtually with no match practice and still keeping so well in both innings. So it's a good insurance to have. The captain and the management rather will know that if Saha doesn't quite turn up fit for this test match, then they have a ready replacement almost in Bharat who can also bat up the order.
Yeah, and I think he's a pretty consistent performer in domestic circuit. He's played a lot of India A cricket, did really well in the IPL, the recent one. So he's coming in with a lot of confidence, a lot of experience, and somebody who's kept so much wickets on Indian pitches. So I don't think it would be something new to him. Only thing would have been a test match pressure, but I think he handled it really, really well. He's keeping his first class, and he's a decent batter also. So I think he's somebody who is in line after Rishabh Pant. Obviously, Rishabh Pant comes in as the first option, but he's somebody obviously Indian selectors would look to if at all they need anybody after these two.
Well, I'll come to a very quick prediction perhaps soon, but just coming to you, Dan, now that the series is or nil-nil rather going into Mumbai, what is it that New Zealand ideally would want in terms of conditions? Perhaps what is the game plan that they'll be looking?
I think we have to acknowledge the points are towards the World Test Championship, and albeit that is a long time away, but that will mean something to New Zealand after whilst they'll be defending champions. So how they go into the Test match will be looking for the win, but also understanding that two away draws are pretty important as well against a very good Indian team. So I think we've discussed the changes, and they'll assess conditions, but the likes of Wagner could make a huge difference to their side. And what we've seen from him in the last 7-8 years of international cricket, what he brings to the table could be the deciding factor to give New Zealand a chance of winning this test match and winning a series in India for the first time since, I think, 1988, or maybe even winning a test match since 1988. So it's pretty exciting time for New Zealand cricket coming off the back of their successes in all three formats.
And few know this track at Wankhede better than the gentlemen also on the panel. So, Wasim, what can we expect without even having taken a look at the pitch? What kind of conditions are you expecting there? And just a quick prediction about how the match is likely to pan out.
Well, obviously Virat Kohli coming in, so the most important thing for him to win the toss. Every toss that happened without him, India have won. So there's a lot of pressure for him to come into this test match and win the toss. So I think if he wins the toss, most things will happen according to the plan. I mean, on Indian conditions, winning the toss is very, very crucial. So I think if India wins the toss and obviously bats first and scores lots of runs, then obviously they can dictate the term. But they have to bat really well. And I think the batting has been a little disappointing from the top order. So they need to turn up for this test match. It's a very, very crucial test match, considering that this is a series decider. So batting has to click. I think once they put runs on the board, then I think the bowlers will definitely do their job. So two things, winning the toss and putting runs on the board.
Well, Shreyas Iyer has been given the player of the match, but any chance, Wasim, at all that he misses out on his home ground? Do you see that happening in any circumstance?
No, I don't. I think it should not happen. If at all they are thinking, I think it will be really upsetting for somebody who's played so well. Being a test debut 100, somebody who's got 100 on debut, got a test match, man of the match, and then to get dropped. I don't think it should happen. If it happens, it will be really disappointing.
So quick prediction time. Dan, player of the match in the second test and result.
We've talked about Neil Wagner a lot. Why not give him man of the match? Look, I think I think we have to wait till we see what those conditions look like. I mean, we think of Wankhede in an IPL sense with a bit of pace in it, but there have been at times when it does turn. And I'll defer to Wasim around the pitch conditions, but I think look for a big test match from Kane Williamson. I think if he can score the runs that we're used to seeing from him, then that will go a long way to New Zealand winning a test match, which will be an amazing achievement because of just how good India are in their own home conditions.
Similarly, Wasim, I guess it's been about 2 years since Virat Kohli has had an international century. There won't be a better setting than coming back to the test team against the team which defeated effectively him as captain at the World Test Championship final. A measure of revenge there if he gets 3 figures and a victory.
I think so. I think the break would have definitely helped him. The pressure of captaincy, obviously leaving that T20 captaincy would have, I think, will help him, and the break will definitely would have helped him to de-stress. I think obviously the conditions would be really really good for the first 3 days. That is what I expect from Wankhede, and obviously he needs to turn it around. He definitely didn't get 100, but he's always in all formats actually look like he's not far behind from getting a big one. So I hope he turns up and be the old Virat Kohli that we know, and he's a class act, and I hope he turns it on from straight away. And I was really I would have hoped that the top two test teams they should have at least played 3 test match series. 2 test match series between number one and number two teams is really short. So ideally India or both the teams would have loved to have a 3 test match series. That would have been a very good contest.
I completely agree with you. In fact, I mentioned it on commentary on ESPN Cricket Info that these two teams should meet for a minimum of 3, if not 4, or maybe even 5 test matches, considering the kind of contests that we have seen in recent times from them. Thank you very much, Daniel Vettori and Wasim Jaffer, and thank you for watching ESPN Cricket Info Match Day. I know it is a cliche, but I keep saying it, Test cricket is best cricket, and that has been proved over 5 days at Green Park, Kanpur once again. Thanks for watching.